All right, guys, in this video, we're going to be going over Agency Elephant's dialer component. It is a very robust system. You can do a ton of things with this dialer, depending upon how the call status went, if they answered, if they didn't answer, if you spoke with someone, if you didn't speak with someone, if you spoke with someone and they were interested or they weren't interested, or if they hung up on you. You can create all kinds of automations on the back end of that dialer. So this is located in your outbound list under the dialer campaign list. And when you create a dialer, it's very simple. You just hit create new campaign. And in here, you're going to start the process. You've got to go through the campaign settings, handling, statuses, lead details, recording and move settings, time zones, and disclaimers. Okay. So if you have a calendar, you want to attach this, you attach calendar. If you've created a call handling policy, you can do that. Or if you click this button, it will go to the call handling templates and creating those. You can create scripts that your people can view that script straight out of the dialer because it opens up its own screen. Scripts are really important if you're using staff to follow a script, to generate activity if you need them to follow something specific. All of these are recorded so that you can go back and listen to them. If you have audit forms for your dialer, these audit forms help you audit the calls, etc. This is very, very robust. Once this is done, you pick the phone number you're going to be calling from, you hit next, and then you have these status options here. All of these can be edited. If you don't like the names of these statuses, they can trigger groups, they can trigger templates, they can trigger all sorts of things. There also is pipeline statuses, tasks, status notifications, and all sorts of things you can edit here. This is how you update the contact with templates, with groups that can trigger drips, or you can have templates done here and it can send those templates. And then in your next page, and if you don't want any one of these statuses, just delete them out, right? Like if you don't want tickle and you don't know what that means, because I don't know what that means, but it's a very common dialer term. You can have these set up. Wrong numbers, do not calls, sale, no sale, not interest, left message, no answer, etc. You can delete these out if you don't want them, or you can change the name of these by hitting the edit button, right? This is how you do that. Next is, or you can add a status if you want to add a new one. Next is lead details. This updates your lead information as you finish it. This is not something that I necessarily use a ton. Or if you want to show these sections on the dialers, like I need to see these section on the dialers, etc. You can show those, all of them, right? And you check the ones you want. Then under the next one, you have recording and move section. So if it's assigned to a specific status, you want it to ring, you want to set up the progress of this. How many times is it going to be calling those people? Is the call recording on? Are you grabbing local numbers to call from? If the status, is assigned to one of these sections for X amount, you can move it to different groups. It's really, really involved. Time zone settings are really specific. They're going to associate the area code with the time zone. So if you have multiple area codes, I always just check all of my time zones here because I want to call them when I'm scheduling to call them. If you're using somebody that's overseas, you can have different time zones set up. So this will tell you, right, if you're coming over to the campaign settings, right, let's go back all the way to the campaign settings. This is the most important thing about the dialers. Okay, so you're over in campaign settings, you name your campaign, test campaign, right? You have to pick the group that the people are in that you're calling. So you've got to have a really good list. So if you're trying to call all your customers, right, and you want to dial only specific tags, or you want to skip specific tags, how many times are you going to be dialing them before they're removed out of the list? Do you want to call them all? Do you want to move to the next ring, next lead if there's no answer, bill it busy, failed, or rejected? Do you want to do a power dialer, progressive dialer, which is automatic, dialing multiple people at the same time, or progressive manual, etc. Power dialer is really, really cool. As you're dialing through them, it just moves to the next one automatically, ringing them 3 times, picking the list of people you want to dial. So you've got to have that list in Agency Elephant prior to actually setting this up. So when you go through this section here, like we just were, and then you get to the time zones, it will tell you how many people in time zones do you have, right? So I want to check all the boxes that have people in them and hit next. And then you've got to agree to this disclaimer and hit next and create. Your campaign was added successfully. Now that your campaign's added successfully, you can come in here and hit the play button and start that dialer and start calling. It'll tell you all the information about the calls that you're making, etc. This is how you set up and build a dialer. You really want to think this through. You really want to have a plan to action on this. You can always come in and edit these sections and view all of this stuff. You can always come in and do that. But you really want to have a good flow on this, and you really want to think it out correctly. So I hope this helps you. This is the dialer. It's very robust. If you don't want to use the dialer in such a robust manner and you just want to call down a list of people, you can always use your contact manager for that. You can always say, hey, I want to call all my customers, right? You can always just run down this list and hit the green call button, right? So if I'm running down this list and I'm calling Brian Blair, I'm just going to hit the call button, right? I'm just going to run down this list and hit the call button, okay? So make sure you're using the dialer for robust things, or you're using something very basic like just the simple dialer in here by hitting the call and just going through the list. If you have any questions, jump over to the Facebook group.